disturbing. The camera icon is disturbing. I don't know why this came here. Okay, however, I don't know. Right now, just let me park it aside. Okay, so uh, see, if you want to run Python, you have to install Python in your computer. Python requires a something called a Python virtual machine. Okay, so generally, if you look at any programming language, for example, I am writing C language. Okay, I'll show you some examples. I am writing C language. What the C language does is, there is something like, as I said earlier, it's a compiled programming language. C is a compiled programming language. Just telling you some examples so that you will understand. So when you write a C language, what happens is you compile your language. That means after writing all the code and all, you compile your language. Once you compile your language, there is a compiler tool chain. That means a couple of tools becomes some compiler tool chain. It becomes actually a couple of tools become compiler tool chain. There would be some compilers, C language compiler, GCC compiler, Clang. There are some compilers like Clang, CLANG Clang, or GCC, like that, etc. There are some compilers. What this compiler does is they compile your C language code into intermediate representation, IR we call it as, and then from this IR it is converted to machine language. This is how C language. There is a lot of steps. There are a lot of steps. There is something called parsing. There is something called lexical syntax. There is something called tokenization. There is something called abstract syntax tree, and then compiler compiles. There is some optimizations, and ultimately this is converted into IR generally, which we call it as an intermediate representation. Then that particular IR code is converted into machine language. Machine language means every machine has a different language. For example, what is your mobile processor? What is your computer processor? Your mobile, yeah. These are all processors: i5, i7, okay, i5, i7. Mobile processors are ARM. ARM is a company who designs mobile processors. ARM is the processor. Okay, every processor you take, every processor has got some instructions actually. Ultimately, the processor knows only not Python, not C language, not Go language, or not Java. Processor knows only some instructions. Okay, ultimately processor knows actually electronic signals, zeros or ones, but before that, one step ahead of that, one step before that is some instructions. ARM instructions are different than AMD instructions. These are all AMD processors manufactured by Intel i5, Intel i7, and all. These are all AMD. AMD is a different company, not Intel. AMD is a company, Intel is a company. But actually, these iPhone, i5, i7 are 64-bit processors. We call it as 64-bit processors. These processors are designed by AMD and manufactured by Intel. These processors are designed by ARM and manufactured by maybe MediaTek or Cortex or XYZ companies. Okay, so these processors programming instructions are different. These processors instructions are different. Okay, so the applications that you design for this do not work on this. The applications you design for this do not work on that. So when you compile your application, you write C language program or Go language or Rust or any programming language, you compile it using the compiler. It generates from IR representation. IR representation means it's an intermediate language representation, not really related to any processor, not to ARM, not for AMD. It is an intermediate language representation. Then based on the target machine means on which machine you would like to run your application. Based on the target machine, these instructions are converted into that particular machine by a concept called assembler. There is assembler, that assembler converts all these things into machine code. So this is how generally compiled programming languages work. Compiler compiles into IR, then there is an assembler, that assembler would run into machine language. This machine language is very important. Okay, these are the steps. Parsing, that means it parses the whole code of your application, and then there is something called a lexical syntax. That means it checks what all the tokens those are available, what are the variables you create. We will discuss about that. What are the names? We call them as symbols. It checks everything, and then it groups them, and then lexical syntax is checked. Actually, tokenization means all these things are converted into tokens. When you write your application, all these things are converted into tokens, and then it forms a tree called AST means abstract syntax tree. This tree is very important to ensure that your code is legitimate code or not legitimate code with respect to the compiler. And then once it says that yeah, your code is correct, then it converts to IR, and then there is an assembler that converts into an assembly language of a specific machine. If it is an ARM assembly language. If it is an AMD Intel process, it would be converted as an Intel or AMD process. This is the compilation process for the normal compiled programming languages. But Python is different. What Python does is, you write your Python program. The Python doesn't contain a compiler, it got an interpreter. So each and every line of code is taken, okay, then it interprets into IR, which is called intermediate representation, and this particular IR is converted into machine code on the fly. In the sense, there is something called a virtual machine, Python virtual machine or Python virtual environment. This environment should be running on each and every machine. For example, you want to run Python should be installed on your machine. You want to run Python must be installed on your machine. That is one of the things that why people don't efficient or memory centric applications which have to run very high performers, they don't like Python, because you need to install on each and every machine. For example, I give you a Python program. You have got a very new machine. I give you a Python program. Then you have got a machine. You want to run that Python application. Then what you need this Python virtual machine installed on your machine. It is not only for the development, it is also for the execution. Development means the developer can go and then write the application. Execute means you are going to execute the program. If you want to execute the program, you need Python virtual machine installed. Python should be installed on your machine. That is a prerequisite. Without Python install, you cannot run Python application. You cannot develop Python application, even you cannot run your Python application. So Python virtual machine is very much important in order to run Python application. First thing. So Python is not compiled, it is interpreted. So IR representation is a Python machine code. IR representation is a Python intermediate language. Why intermediate language? Because the target machines are different. ARM is different, AMD is different, some other machines are different, RISC-C, there are different kinds of processors are there. Each and every processor, the representation is different. Okay, the instructions are different. Okay, Instructions means every processor come with some instructions. The instructions are different for different machines, different for different types of the processor. Your mobile instructions are little different than your computer instructions, because computers run on generally computers run on AMD processors like i5, i7, i9. These are all AMD processors. Mobiles run on ARM processors. ARM processors are well known for the power efficiency. Okay, computer processors are well known for the fast execution. So here ARM processors are power from the power perspective, they are very efficient. These are the computer processors, they process very fast. So these processors are not used on mobiles, because mobiles power consumption is very important. For example, I am using my MacBook. On my MacBook I use ARM processor, not Intel processor. Maybe in your MacBook you use that is used ARM, but my MacBook it uses uh, ARM processor, not Intel. That's why my MacBook runs on what do you call M1, M2, M3. There are latest chips. These are called M1, M2, M3. These are the chips that my mobile uses. Okay, fine. This is what actually Python virtual machine has to be installed on your machine if you want to run Python. So right now what we are doing is we are not installing any Python, rather we are just using Python on a web based compiler. Okay, online Python, you can see a lot of things. It's not only online Python, there will be plethora of tools that are used to run Python. Is my computer IO, Python online compiler, PyCompile might be pretty famous. I think PyCompile, yeah, PyCompile is one of the things. Here you write the code. PyCompile is also you can use. I think this is also quite famous. You can use anything to write. However, we are going to write some toy programs, so you can use anything. Okay, wait a minute. Yeah, you can use anything. So the first line of code that you write in Python is actually, how do you print something. This is called the comment. When you write something with this asterisk symbol, that means this is not going to be considered as a code. This is called a comment. Comment means it's not considered as a code. Yeah, it is not considered as a code, it is just for information purpose, we call it as a comment. Okay, if you put it as a hash, it's not a code, it's just a comment for your understanding purpose. Understand? You got it? So this is not a code. When whatever you put in Python with this symbol, this is not a code, it's called a comment. Remember that, comment. Comments are not considered as legal codes. Comments are just for the information purpose. When you write code, actually comments are used for the information purpose. Comments are not considered as code. That comment is for, yes, what you gonna do and all, what we are planning to do, what you are going to do and all. For example, I am writing code. Three four people are as a team, they are writing code for everyone to understand. Then generally we write comments. For simple code there is no need of a comment, but comparatively when you write some complex code and all, it is good to write comments. Comments are for the information purpose. Okay, it doesn't accept the comment. Okay, print is a statement. We want to print something. Print is a function. Function means mathematical functions. Functions are already, the logic is written, but you are just trying to execute. So what you said, print, I say hello world is a it's just it has become a custom, but yeah, everyone write hello world because you are wishing the world with your first program, that's all. Okay, it is just it has become like that, hello world everyone, right? Okay, so you just put a print statement, you print hello world. That means you are going to print that. You just write run code. See, every Python file should end with .py extension. How does the it understand that it is a Python file? It should end with .py extension. .py extension is nothing but Python files. You can give any file name, it doesn't matter. You can give main.py. Here we have not given. You can give main.py, or you can give anything, but ultimately .py extension is very important in order to write the Python code. You can just run this. Okay, so when you run it, whatever you write here, it has executed over here. Let's say if I write print line again, hello universe, and then you don't need to end everything. You don't need to sorry, print line is not defined. Print only, there is no print line. So whatever you got to write, okay, whatever you got to write, and then you want to execute it, you can say that just put it over there. It's going to be printed over here. Just click on run. If you are using a environment, if you're using a Python environment, if you're using a Python environment, you have to run actually py.py. You have to run just py or Python 3. There are different kinds of compilers, Python environments you use. Based on that, you have to use that. Okay, right now that's what this hello world is. Now you have to write within the parenthesis. Parenthesis is nothing but the execution of the function. Let's say this talks about the execution of a function. Whenever you put a parenthesis here, it's nothing but the name of the function, and then this got to be the execution of the function. These are called as parameters, arguments. Sorry, these are called as arguments. You pass some data over here. This is nothing but an argument. Okay, you got it. So this particular print, this particular print is a function. This function wants actually one argument. That argument is nothing but hello world. I pass that argument as hello world. Fine. Now, so variables, actually, what are variables? Variable is something like a name. You want, see, as I said earlier, what is a program? Program is nothing but data and then code. Program is nothing but the combination of data and code. So you have got, you write some code and then you have got some data along with that code. That is what a program is. Wherever you are writing a program is nothing but data and code. And ultimately, when you are working with a program, you work with the data. So where do you keep the data? Actually, you need to keep the data somewhere, right? How do you keep the data? Where do you keep the data? We keep the data within variables. Okay, in Python, Python is a dynamically typed programming language. That means you don't need to specify that what type of data that you are going to store. You don't need to tell that, hey, this is going to be string, this is going to be integer, this is going to be float, this is going to be boolean. Like that, boolean means true or false. Okay, there are something. Okay, you know what the string is? String means collection of characters. And then you have something called boolean. Boolean means true or false. Characters are this is a good question actually. Characters are UTF characters, UTF-8. UTF-8 means there are 65,000 characters are there in the world in UTF-8 format. Earlier, old computers, they used to accept only 255 characters. Okay, the old computers, there are only 255 characters, 0 to 255, but only English characters were accepted. But now we are using UTF-8 characters. UTF-8 characters are for about 65,000 characters. UTF-8 characters. if you look for UT of 8 characters, you see uh, you know so many characters. These are all UT of 8 characters. You see that. Even you can see Chinese characters. If you go below, you can see lot more are there. You can see Chinese characters, you can see Japanese characters, like that. You can see lot of characters. These are all called UTF. It's all 65,000 means, you understand. It's so many characters. Even the special characters, this you see that these are all special characters. You know, some symbols. These are all actually emojis. Most of the emojis are also actually UT of 8 characters. Each character has got some code. Okay, when I say characters, yes, Python is capable of holding all these characters. Okay, you can hold within the string. Within the string, yes. Let's say I copy this, I go here, hello world. uh, okay, and then what I do is I print it is raining. So I'm going to drink. Let me go and then take this. Coffee. Let's say that it's raining, so I say that I'm going to drink coffee. If you really look at it, let's say I have to put a new line. This /n, this is an escape character, special character which talks about a new line. I'll talk about it. So when it comes into the next line, yes. So it is yes, that is nice. Actually, I don't need to give comma, but I just want you to know that you can pass various arguments to a function. It's not necessarily to be a single argument. You can also pass like this. It's raining, so I'm going to drink coffee. You can do like excellent. Exactly, yes. If this /n talks about a new line, /n is an escape character. This is also actually a Unicode character. This character talks about /n talks about it's going to put in the new line. Okay. Okay, you say it's raining, so I'm going to drink coffee. That's what it has printed here. It's raining. Okay, so I'm going to drink coffee is what actually it is printed over here. So you understand these characters are Unicode characters. You can go and then use any Unicode character. It's not possible to remember all the Unicode characters, but yeah, you can search in the Unicode character sequence and then you can always go and then get it. That is the reason nowadays you see our mobiles under uh, we are able to give Tamil, you are able to type in Telugu and all. The reason is because of Unicode characters. There are 65,000 characters, UT of 8 characters, but olden days, old computers can work only up to 255 characters, but now these are all 65,000 characters. These 65,000 characters, you know that there are so many characters. Okay. You can choose, you can search anywhere. I mean, from the UTF, there are so many UTF sites are there. You can go and then search from the UTF site. There are so many UTF sites. Not only here, there are UTF 8 sequence character sites are there. Okay, and then there is integer. Integers are the generally numbers, maybe minus to positive numbers. Okay, and then there are float numbers. Float num float numbers or decimal numbers. Generally these are all the types. Okay, uh, generally these are all the types. So all numbers, yes, Float means it's a point numbers. Generally, we call them as a floating point numbers. So these are the types generally, but you don't need to mention these types. You don't need to specially mention that what type that variable belongs to. Okay, you don't need to mention that what type that variable belong to in Python. Let's say that I give maybe num1 equal to 100. That's it. When you say num1 is 100, Python can automatically understand num1. It's called inference type type inference means based on the value towards the right side. This is the name of the variable. Num1 is called variable. What is a variable? Variable is a name that refers to a value stored in memory, which is called the variable. Variable talks about a value that got stored in the memory. We call it as a variable. Okay. uh, each and every variable refers to some value. Generally, when you create a variable, it contains some value. That's what a variable is. It is 100 as an integer. Okay, let's say I give it as a name. I give it as Jitin. Then it can understand that name is a string type. Okay, let's say I give it as pi equal to 3.14. Then it can understand that pi is going to be a floating point number. For example, is valid. Okay, is valid. If I give, okay, I give it as true, then Python can understand that, okay, this is a boolean variable. How does it understand that this is a boolean variable, this is not a string? Because I didn't give it in double quotations. First thing, I didn't give it in double quotations. String value should be in the double quotation. Okay, whatever you give is string value, it should be in the double quotation. Okay, it can understand based on the right hand side value, which we call it as a type inference. Here it looks at it and then understand that, okay, this got to be string, so name is going to be string. Right hand side, it understand that it got to be a floating point number, so this is considered as a floating point number. Is valid, right hand side it is true or false, so it understand that, okay, the as given as true or false. Character, it understand that, okay, let me give it as char1 character. It understand that single quotation is always considered as a single character. Okay, this is how you can so I want to print that print. I can give it as a new line over here. Print, I think num1 equal to num1. Let me num1. So num1 is what the string that I want to print it over here, and then the next num1 is the variable. So the variable shouldn't be inside the double quotations, otherwise it cannot understand. How can it differentiate the string and the variable? String should be given in the double, to print over here, the variable can be given like this. Let's say I want to give the name, I give it as name, and then I want to give it as pi. I give it as pi. Events is valid. I just printing based on that. Char1 is char1. If you look at these variables, what we are doing is we are just taking all the variables and then printing all the variables with their respective names. That's all. We're not doing anything else, just taking the variables and then printing the variables. Because it has to print this num1, it has to print name, it has to print as name. Yeah, it has to print as a name this one thing. That's the reason we have printed like that. Okay, Python variable declaration is even pretty nice. For example, I create 3 variables. I want to create 3 variables and then give values 3, 4 or 1, whatever it is. A B, C, I can directly give 10, 20, 30. I can create like this, 3 variables and then 3 values. Okay, A, B, C are 3 variables, and then I can also give this A, B, C directly 10, 20 and 30. Now you want to print uh, A, B, C. Here I'm just directly printing these variables. I have not kept these variables. I just print. I didn't give A equal to B equal to something like that. So 10, 20, 30 got printed. Automatically the space is given. You see that. Where did I give the space? I didn't give any space. I put a comma. Based on the comma, automatically the space is given. You don't need to give any space. The space is given. Okay, and I can also give maybe x equal to y equal to z or z equal to maybe some value 100. So what it does is the 100 value is given for both x, y and z. If you see something like this is valid in Python. Print x, y, z. Okay, if you give x, y and then z, you see that the value of x, the value of y and then the value of z is given as 100, because you can also give like this. Let me see, a comma b equal to 10 comma 20. Again I give, and then a comma b equal to b comma a. Okay, I just print a and b. You see that this is called swapping. Swapping is very regular thing in programming language. Yeah, okay, sure. Okay, this is how you got to print the variables. This is how you give variables. So this is how so there are different ways to create variables. You can create a group of variables at once. Group of variables, a, b and c are 3 variables. 3 values are given to, automatically each value is given to the each variable and all. For example, you want to create 3 variables which contain same value. Okay, maybe 3 variables contain same value x, y, z. There are 3 variables contain same value, which is called, you can also give like assign like this, x, y, z equal to 100. That means 3 variables contains the same value. This that you just print the value, and then a and b I am reassigning the value, or whatever it is, a, b equal to 10 and 20. I want to swap the value. Swap the value means the b value should go into a value should go into b. Then you can directly swap like this, a comma b equal to b comma a. It's pretty easy operation. This operation is not like this easy in C language. It's quite complex. I will explain it little later, but right now you want to swap the value. Swap the value means, for example, Swati and Jitin are there. I would like to exchange the names. Okay, let's say that Swati name should be Jitin and Jitin name should be Swati. It's called swapping. Swapping, you want to swap, then you can directly swap like this in Python, a b equal to b a. Python can understand that, okay, we are trying to swap, and then it swaps the values. That's how the values a and b, when you print it, 20 and 10 it got printed. Actually it is 10 and 20, but it has printed as 20 and 10. Why it has printed? Because we are swapping values using Python. Okay, so